Hello everyone, how are you? Today I'm gonna talk a little bit about my experience, my first month experience learning Godot. A full disclosure, I have some experience with development, like that's my job. So that gives me a head start in terms of programming. So GD script is not similar to what I use every day, but it's similar enough that I can just, I the basic of programming I don't have to learn from scratch, and then I can focus more in the other things in the Godot engine and so on. But I think nonetheless, some of the stuff they're gonna talk in this video might be useful for you. All right. So I'm here on my third week, I think. Let me see here. I have here my Godot folder, and if you see here, my first project I started on 21st of February, and today is the 13th of March. So we're about a month, no, about 3 weeks ish into this, and I'm not currently working, so I had more time to spend playing with Godot. So that's not one video, those videos that say like, hey, here's 1 month after learning Godot and I have a perfect running game with everything, I'm gonna show you now what are my latest projects. Let's say they're not like fully working games, but they're something that I was playing with some concepts. So the first one that I did, there wasn't from a tutorial. It was the shooter. So I'm gonna open here. Let me bring that over. So come on, it's in the other screen. Yeah. So the concept of this one, I want to do a platformer, and I want the player, this guy here, to have a gun that I can aim using the mouse. I did some sprites here on a sprite, but not gonna go into it. And that's how the game is currently. So let me bring the guy here. So that's the gun, basically follows the mouse. When I shoot, when I click with the mouse, it shoots. And let's see if the am I not? Oh, my keyboard is off. So I can walk around and jump, and if I get too close to the enemy shoots, and you see there's a little bit of blood, and I died. Okay, let me start again, try to kill the enemy, and I died again. Yeah, so that's the basic that I've made. And let me see the other one. I'm not gonna go into the details of every game. I just showing you what I was doing, that I was outside like tutorials and so on. Project, go to project list. Now the one that I was playing recently, more recently than the shooter, was the tennis one. That's an old idea I had ages ago, and I wanted to play around. The idea was that I had like this character that smashes the ball, and the ball interacts with the level. That was the basic idea I had in my mind. I thought about being kind of like a pinball, where instead of having the flippers at the pinball, you had just a character running in the bottom, and then everything else is just a pinball machine. But for this time, I just wanted something simpler. So I decided to do kind of like a tennis game. So I have both of the sides here, like the two sides, and they play against each other. And I was thinking about what means to win in this game. So I mix a little bit of Arkanoid, the game where you break the tiles with a ball. So basically the floor is destructible. So let me open here the level that I'm currently working on. It's really simple. I made those sprites and kind of like instead of a net, I just have those blocks in the middle. And currently I have both sides as 8 eyes. So if I press play here, you're gonna see the AI playing against another AI, which sometimes it's funny, like they're quite stupid, but they manage to play a game. So you can see that they follow the ball and they hit it back. And as the floor takes damage, it cracks and eventually it destroys itself. And I don't have anything else besides this. I have a timer here, which is not working, it's just a text. My idea is to have a timer, and whenever the player falls, the player loses. And if the timer goes off, whichever player made more damage to the other side wins. So yeah, that's the basic idea of the game. Yeah, the guy just fell off here, but nothing happens and the game continues. Yeah, as I said, they're unfinished games. So I want to talk a little bit about my approach this time. I tried to learn game development before and it didn't go well. I tried to use Unity. It wasn't because it was Unity. It was more about my approach, I believe. So my approach before, if I can say that I had an approach, I think I started as everybody trying to do something complete. That's one thing. And the other thing, too complex, too complicated. And if you go on YouTube, where is my browser, and you just search for come on, full screen. Sorry, it's really complicated. I am not good at this, so let's leave it there. So of course, if you go to YouTube and just go Godot first steps, I don't know, you're gonna see a lot of tutorials and talking about how to start. And a lot of them will say, oh, don't do something that's too complicated. Make a first game that's simple and you can finish. I am not doing that exactly. I think what I want to talk about in this video is you should start small projects. Yes, have an idea. Or like the first one I was doing was I want a platformer where it's kind of like a shooter where you have a weapon, aims with the mouse, and that's it. That's the core concept of the game. All right. And I started doing that. And once I got to that point, I stopped. I just, okay, that's it. I could, of course, keep going and finish the game. But I think it would slow down my progress of learning Godot. All right. I think when you're learning Godot, it would be nice to spend the first, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe 4 projects to allow yourself to not completely finish them, but use them to learn all the basics of Godot. And when you're doing one project only, you're not going to go over all the different concepts that Godot have. You're not going to play around with every different node. So in the first half of the game you're doing, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn collision boxes. You're going to learn rigid body and how to manipulate vectors and so on. But once you finish the main concept of the game, so let's say the game that I was doing, the shooter that I was doing. Once I finished that, I wasn't learning anything else in order to finish it. So I was going to spend a lot of time thinking about, level design and this, and I want to polish this sprite to be nice. So, and when you start doing that, start being a bit frustrating because of course your game is not polished. You're not yet good with Godot, and you are really in a learning stage. So I don't think you should be spending too much time trying to finish every project. So of course, you have to see if that works for you, because some people will work better if they start a project and they finish a project and they have something to show people, which is fine. But in my case, I think I learned way more by doing small projects. So how can I explain that better? It's almost like I'm learning every small block of Godot with every project that I don't finish. So this project here, I like the concept. I might push it forward a little bit, but currently at this stage, I feel like I learned 80% of what I had to learn about Godot that this small project could provide. All right. And I think now I am okay if I just close this project and start a new one. When you're starting, I think a lot of people say that you should just either don't go too hard, like don't do a really complex game, and also pick small projects that are really simple so you can finish them. But I think you don't necessarily need to finish them. What I'm saying is play around with the core concept, and once you learn the core concept and manage to replicate it, move on. It should be okay to just start a new project. I don't want to be going around in circles here, which I think I am already doing. But that's the main thing for me, because you're exploring when you're learning. In the beginning, mostly, you're exploring. And it's funny because like in this project here, a lot of things that I learned in the shooter game, they were quite natural now. I could just start and set up the basics. I knew how to use tile maps. I knew how to do the basic platform thing. And the thing that I had to learn was a bit more of the AI, or how do, like the ball here, I had to use my own physics instead of using the physics that comes with Godot. So I learned about that, and other small concepts of manipulating vectors and so on. So it was fun because of that. While in the shooter, I learned other concepts. I learned a bit of the AI for the NPC that shoots at you, how they aim at you, and other stuff like that. And slowly, those small unfinished projects, they build up, and you're going to learn more and more about the core concepts in Godot, about the other nodes, which will ultimately allow you to do more complex games with more confidence. Because I want to finish with that. Because right now, if I talk about this game here, right? I wanted to do a small graphics on top of my screen, the HUD, right? And from what I see, small things in my game will have to be restructured so I can properly attach a HUD and have it work nicely. Of course, I can make it work, but it will be messy. And at least in my case, once things get messy, I slowly lose the interest or get a bit too frustrating. So when you're learning, everything that you do is going to be messy. If I bring up the code here, my code is not great currently, even though I am an experienced software developer. Right now, I'm kind of like, hey, I just want to get things working. I want to learn, and I want to struggle, because I want to see if I just write everything in a file, what's going to annoy me. If I don't know, And what's the best way that I can organize a file and figure out that by myself and struggle. And I want to struggle. I don't want to be too, I don't know, do everything perfect on the first go. And because I have that mentality, I am learning a lot, but at the same time, everything that I do is messy. And if I want to keep going with this, and now I want to learn H2D, I'll have to go back here and reorganize my code so it gets less frustrating to move forward in this game and make a more complex game. But if I just start a new project, I can pick something else, some other concept, and say, okay, but this time I want to make a menu. I want to do different screens. I want to make a pause screen. And I can structure the game around that. But the game doesn't have to be complex. It can be a really simple thing, but I'm learning other concept. I don't know if I'm making myself clear here. If you keep just developing on top of the same game, the complexity of it will get on the way of you learning new things. So that's why I think the main takeaway of this video is, if you're learning, if you're currently just getting used to Godot, I think the first 1-2 months, be okay with just like starting a project, getting something done, and that's not a full game, just a core concept. I don't know, I'm working on this. I got that working. Cool, close the project, start a new one. Now I'm gonna learn H2Ds, how to pause a game. Cool, open a project, start that, learn it. Cool, close the project. And with those blocks that you're learning in separate projects, eventually gonna build up the confidence and knowledge to start, I don't know, now, yes, pick a game that you're gonna start from beginning to finish. That's still simple, but you're gonna set yourself, now that I know every layer, every block of Godot enough, I'm gonna try to develop a game from start to finish and try to organize. At that stage, you're gonna learn other things. That's like how to organize your assets, how to organize your game, what are the good ways to structure code, your nodes, and that's gonna be another step in your process of learning Godot. All right, so we're gonna finish up here, and I think I talked about everything that I want to talk. Of course, probably not the best structure, but again, I'm also learning how to do those videos, and it's better for me to just try and release that there. And let me know if you took anything new on this video, if anything that I said made sense, and what do you think about everything? If you have other opinions, other approaches, and how is your learning going so far? All right. In the future videos, I might talk a little bit of small things I've did in those games that I think are interesting and are not on YouTube yet. So stay tuned if you like the content and want to, I don't know when the next one comes out. Just subscribe, and thank you. See you in the next time.